Metal Gear Solid 2 is my absolute favorite game of all time, and it always has been. It was one of the first games I ever played back on PlayStation 2, and my love for it has only grown with time. Between the story that's still relevant to this day, innovative gameplay, the way it builds upon Metal Gear Solid 1, insane attention to detail, there's not one bad thing I have to say about this game, but there's one big thing I have yet to do. Obtain the Platinum Trophy for the Master Collection version of the game. I did the PlayStation 3 version about 6 years ago, which was difficult in its own right, but this one was going to take me to a place I never thought I would go. I've been playing this game for about 15 years, but there was one challenge I never completed: obtain Big Boss rank. This game isn't like Devil May Cry 3, which I did previously here on the channel. Most of the trophies here are attainable without much struggle, but the Big Boss rank is a titan of a challenge I never thought I would even try. Although the Big Boss rank will be the majority of this video, I do want to put a spotlight on the other trophies of the game as well, since this is meant to be a documentation of my journey getting the entire Platinum done. With that in mind, we'll begin with my normal difficulty playthrough and build our way up to the Big Boss rank playthrough, where I'll go more in detail on what makes it so difficult. So sit back, relax, and join me in my emotional journey to obtain the Platinum Trophy for my favorite game of all time. I hope you enjoy. For the initial playthrough, I wanted to get my bearings on the game in general, since I last played it some time ago, so I started up a standard old normal difficulty playthrough and got to work. The game begins with the Tanker Prologue chapter where you take control of Solid Snake post the Shadow Moses incident. If you're somehow not familiar with Snake as a character up to this point, he's well known as the hero of Shadow Moses who stopped a global terrorist threat single-handedly, and he's renowned as one of the greatest soldiers to ever exist. After the events of Metal Gear Solid 1, he joins an anti-Metal Gear organization, which is what leads us to this initial tanker chapter. Snake infiltrates a marine tanker to leak information about a new Metal Gear that is being developed going by the codename Ray. The very second you gain control of Snake, you can feel the innovation of the game as a whole coming from Metal Gear Solid 1. You move around fluidly, the atmosphere and rain feel next gen, you now have a first person mode, and the guard AI is significantly improved. This is why the game is regarded as being one of the most impressive games of all time. MGS1 was released in 1998, and this one in 2001. This kind of jump in just 3 years is unbelievable, and even to this day, there are very few games that match MGS2 in its attention to detail. If I went over everything this game does in this regard, I can no joke make a 5-hour-long video on that alone, but this video is about trophies, so let's stay on track. You can get a decent amount of the trophies in the initial playthrough, but some you'll have to save for a second playthrough. This is because some trophies require you to kill enemies, but for the pacifist trophy, you have to kill no enemies. This isn't a big deal though, because in order to obtain the stealth camo and infinite ammo related trophies, you'll have to do a few playthroughs, so you can choose to either do a lethal playthrough or a pacifist playthrough. Either way isn't a big deal. I chose to do a stealth pacifist playthrough here since that's what's required for Big Boss rank, so I wanted to get in as much practice for that as possible. At the end of the tanker chapter, the ship explodes and Snake seemingly goes down with it. He's labeled as a terrorist thereafter, which leads us into the plant chapter of the game. This is where the game becomes a bit controversial, because in the trailers and pre-release build-up to this game coming out, they only showed Snake. To my knowledge, there was no point where Raiden, the new protagonist, was shown to be a part of the game, so people were pissed. This of course ties in with the overall narrative of the game, with Raiden basically living in Snake's shadow both literally and figuratively. Our new mop-headed protag here is tasked with infiltrating a location known as the Big Shell, an environmental cleanup initiative designed to repair the damage done by the tanker's explosion in the prologue. The Big Shell has been taken over by terrorists, with the US president and other figures being hostages in the ordeal. It's up to Raiden to go in and solve the situation. Quickly upon playing the plant chapter, you notice something with the game's design. It resembles very closely the events of Shadow Moses and Metal Gear Solid 1. Even down to the way Raiden enters the Big Shell mirrors that of Snake's appearance to Shadow Moses Island. Then you've got a cyborg ninja, people having heart attacks, a key card system. I mean, every step of the way you find something going back to MGS1. If you've played MGS2, you know exactly why this is, but if you haven't, then I don't know if I can feasibly answer this question in a short segment, but I'll try my best. Raiden was a child soldier from Liberia raised by Solid Snake.
No, that is not Solid Snake.
Yeah, that was a dumb, my bad, Snake, sorry. What I meant was Solidus Snake. Raiden has severe PTSD and trauma from his past that he tries to run away from, so he basically takes orders as they come. He's chosen by entities known as the Patriots to be a test subject in something known as the S3 program, which is initially known as the Solid Snake Simulation Program, designed to recreate soldiers on the same level as Solid Snake himself. This is why the game is designed in the same structure as MGS1. Raiden is meant to gain the same experiences and skills as Snake did during the Shadow Moses incident, but in true Metal Gear fashion, this isn't what S3 actually stands for. What it stands for is Selection for Societal Sanity, and the Patriot's goal is to control human will and consciousness. Raiden was basically used as a puppet to see the extent of the Patriot's ability to control people and their thoughts, and Solidus was actually trying to prevent all of this. What this means is that Raiden, and by proxy you, the player, have been played and used the entire time, and you have no choice but to complete the program and defeat Solidus, your father that led you down this path in the first place. The game doesn't really have a happy ending, at least for Raiden, but the commentary of the game is that social media and false narratives prevent people from thinking for themselves, which is true. This script was written in 1999, by the way. Despite this, the game ends in a heartwarming message, saying the media we consume or create can leave a legacy for everyone to enjoy. There will always be attempts at censorship, but social media, human art, literature, all of these things are our responsibility to create so that people of the future can learn from it and make things better. It's a message I hold dearly, and I think it's something anyone could agree to or relate to. While Raiden himself might not have had a happy ending, I sure did, because not only did I get to beat my favorite game of all time once again, I also got hella digital bling in the process, baby, let's go! So in this playthrough, I got the trophy for beating the game with 0 alerts, all the story trophies, beating Snake's meat, cause that's an actual thing, holding up enemies, obtaining all weapons, basically a lot of the grunt work you have to do. I did accidentally kill someone apparently, so oops. I also tried to get as many dog tags as possible, because that's how you obtain the stealth and infinite ammo items I mentioned before. In MGS2, almost every single enemy you hold up will drop their dog tags when you shake them up. In the Tanker chapter, there are about 152 dog tags, and in the plant, there are about 242. You have to collect 50% of them in each chapter, and upon doing that, you'll get all the items for the trophies. This is much easier than the PS3 version of the game, where on the plant chapter, you had to collect every single dog tag. The reason this is hard is because each difficulty has a different set of dog tags, so you can't do this in one run. At minimum, it would take 5 playthroughs, but on the Master Collection, you can get it done in 2 or 3. Much more reasonable. The bulk of the cleanup was doing all of the dog tags. There are some smaller things like the VR missions and watching Raiden's girlfriend Rose kill him on the rooftop in the replay theater, but honestly, it really isn't that hard. It just takes time, so I threw on some YouTube on the side and got to work. It took a couple of days to get everything done, but since this is my favorite game of all time, I had no problem having to beat the game over and over again. I've probably beaten this game, I actually don't even know how many times, it's countless times. Eventually, I was left with one trophy left to get. The one I raved about at the beginning of the video. The only thing I was yet to do in the 15 years I have played the game. Obtain the Big Boss ranking. Whoa, hello there. Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you there, but I am here to explain exactly what makes Big Boss rank so difficult here in the flesh. So, you have to beat the tanker and plant scenarios in under 3 hours, on extreme difficulty or higher, 0 alerts, 0 kills, 0 rations, less than 700 shots fired, less than 10 health bars of damage, 8 saves or less, no radar, no special items, destroy less than 60 mechanical items like ciphers, Metal Gear Rays, and everything. Yeah, it's very restrictive. It's by far the hardest Big Boss rank in the series. It requires a lot of focus, a lot of patience, a lot of everything. It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. So obviously it's tough, that's why I'm making this video, but it is the only thing I have yet to do in Metal Gear Solid 2. So I'm gonna face my fears, we're gonna get this done, and I'm gonna be very happy when I do get it done because I love this game and I wanna conquer everything in it. Let's see how it goes. I performed this on a New Game Plus save file just so I could skip the bomb disposal cutscenes with Stillman, but other than that, it's identical to a New Game save file. The most important thing for Big Boss playthroughs above all else is planning ahead of time when exactly you're going to save. This can vary depending on your skill as a player, but I always take it safe when it comes to challenges like this. Since you only get 8 saves, I didn't want to be too safe though, which honestly made the entire playthrough anxiety ridden and stressful, because any mistake means you have to go back to your last save, but you can barely ever save. So you have to accept that you're going to have to redo sections a lot. It's pretty ironic because you have to spend a lot of time beating the game fast, go figure. The things we do for trophies. I'll go over my thought process behind each save when we get to them, but my main goal was to beat the tanker chapter without saving whatsoever. The first big roadblock of the big boss run is the Olga boss fight. If she hits you once, you're probably gonna die. And I don't know about y'all, but I tend to get hit a lot in this fight. I swear, it feels like Olga does some MLG ass trick shots on you to hit you because it feels like she never misses. Trying to do this normally involves roaming around the small area you're given, taking pot shots at her whenever you get a chance. It's not the worst thing ever since it's real early into the run, but if you do end up dying, you do have to restart the entire game since you have no saves. This is what I meant by it being so anxiety inducing. Any mistake means losing a lot of progress. Thankfully for most of the bosses, there is a good method to make it a lot easier, and Olga is the easiest boss in the game if you use a certain trick. If you line yourself up in between these boxes here, Olga will lose sight of you. Once she does that, she's usually programmed to start chucking grenades at you to force you out of cover, but if you just keep shooting her in the leg, you can stun lock her until the fight is over. Some might say this is dishonorable or cheap, but to that, I say I won and that's all that matters. The rest of the tanker is business as usual. I ran past all the guards, taking my time while also trying to be quick if that makes any sense. It only ramps up once you get to the guard boss rush, but as long as you get your shots off on the guards and stay behind cover, it's not too bad. You can afford to take a few shots here as well, so it's not as strict as the Olga fight. The nice thing about doing this big boss run is that you'll never really have to worry about normal guards killing you since you're not allowed to have alerts, so you'll always have ammo and health for when you need it. Not that it matters that much since you'll be getting one shot most of the time anyway, but I digress. After getting the pictures of Metal Gear Ray and sending them to Otacon, I was done with the tanker chapter of the game, and it was time to get the plant started. Like I said before, I like to take things as safe as possible when it comes to stuff like this, so I decided to make my first save right at the bottom of the big shell so I wouldn't have to redo the tanker if I messed it up. I wasn't confident I'd be able to get past these guards on the first try, so better safe than sorry. And I was right. I was using a bit of an advanced strategy to get past these guards I've seen people do in other playthroughs, where you groin punch this guard at the bottom right of the room, lure this guard to you by standing near the wall, and knock on the wall to distract the third and final guard. After doing that, you can flip the second guard on their back and head toward the elevator. It's a satisfying and fun trick to do once you get the hang of it, but it's a bit tricky for sure. After I did this room though, I wanted to see how other people approached it, and I learned something that absolutely blew my mind. Before you interact with the node to start the segment where they wake up, you can drag them to the lockers where you first arrive and they won't even be in the room. This is what I meant by the attention to detail, because in the 17 years I've been playing this game, I never thought to do that. But it makes so much sense, of course you could do that. Across this big boss run, I learned so much about the game that I didn't know about. So throughout the video, I'll bring up some fun facts that you might not have known about. Once you go up the elevator, this is when the plant section really gets started. There are dozens of ways to approach the first half of the game, but I decided to uncharacteristically do this beginning section in a more risky way. You see, if you go through the northeast door of this room first, you can grab the M9 tranquilizer gun immediately, which will be your main weapon for the entire game. It's one of the only ways to take out guards without killing them. You're meant to go through the northwest door for the story though, so I said fuck it, let's go that way. It's a bit faster to do it this way, but it did mean I needed to do a large portion of the bomb disposal segment with no weapon whatsoever. The good part about MGS2 is that it's the only game to have a detection phase before the actual alert phase. If someone sees you or whatever might happen, you'll have a small grace period before they actually call in the alert. If you take the guard out or leave the room, you'll be able to get by without an alert actually being added to the counter. I abused this to my advantage every chance I got. In any other game, this would probably be an alert, but not this one. This is why MGS2 is my favorite one to play, because it allows goofy strategies like this. You eventually come across Pliskin, who we've definitely never seen before, and he gives us our first weapon, the SOCOM. Unfortunately, this is a lethal weapon, so we can't use it on normal guards, but it's still very useful. You can't shoot out any electronics with the M9, so you have to use a lethal weapon. Shortly after meeting Pliskin, you start running into cameras and ciphers, so you'll definitely need the SOCOM. A couple struts after Pliskin is when you meet Peter Stillman, the bomb disposal expert, and as you'd expect, this is where the bomb disposal section of the game begins, go figure. This is also the section why you want to do a New Game Plus file for Big Boss, because if you don't, you have to watch the entire bomb disposal cutscene. And if you're going for this rank, you've probably seen this cutscene a million times by now. As great as Peter is, I'd really like to just get into the thick of it, no KSI. On Extreme, there are a few more bombs than the lower difficulties, and some of these bombs are a pain in the ass, dude. This is where not having a radar really becomes difficult. Defusing the bombs takes time, and every area with a bomb in it has guards. Some are harder than others, but all of them have their margins for error. Let's just say I messed up a lot during the bomb disposal section. It was all my fault, of course, but it didn't make the pain any better. The hardest struts of this section are the water treatment and parcel rooms. I see a lot of people struggle with strut F since there are 4 guards in here, 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom, and the bomb you have to defuse is basically in the middle of all of them. I don't find this strut too bad since this is where you finally get the M9. I make use of the coolant spray to stun the guard, then I hold him up and nut tap him like it's elementary school to knock his ass out like a light. The M9 is in the room right next to him, so I grab it and shoot the guard for good measure. A tranquilized enemy stays unconscious for longer than a stunned enemy, which is why I do that whenever I can. Once that's done, I blast the other dude on this top floor, then take the 2 out on the bottom. You have to do all of this quick, because after a while, the control center will send in a search team to find out why the guards aren't doing their status reports. Of course, they can't report much when they're getting their beauty sleep, so time is of the essence. If you leave a room and re-enter though, it'll reset that timer. It's super useful on every difficulty, so I did that if I felt like I wouldn't have enough time to get everything done in any given area. After strut F is the parcel room. And I'm not gonna lie, I fucking hate this room on extreme. It's not a badly designed room or anything, but the margin for error is through the roof. There are about 4 guards and 4 cameras in this room alone, and one of the bombs you have to dispose is on a box on the conveyor belt. What this means is you have to dispose of the guards and the cameras and then find the bomb and dispose of it before the patrol team is sent in to check out the area. There's also some items you want to grab in here too, like the box and stun grenades, so that makes it even more tight. The conveyor belt is set on a timer, so if you know where the box will be, you can catch it at the same time every time. The problem was I didn't know where it was. At all. This room is probably where I failed the most for sure. When you do it right, it looks super cool, but this room is just so... fuck the parcel room, just fuck it. There's also a bomb on the helipad, but this one isn't too bad. The water treatment room, on the other hand, is hard. Depending on how many times you've beaten the game, the position of one of the bombs will change. I didn't know this, so after I defused the 2 static bombs, I was shitting myself trying to find the last one. Because like I said, you gotta do these rooms pretty quick. If it isn't the backup team coming in, it's the guards themselves waking up from being tranquilized. It's just stressful, man, and since there are so many guards in here with no cover, it's just tough, man. Once I got past the water treatment room, that was basically the bomb disposal wrapped up. There's one more bomb in the area you meet Stillman at, but it's super easy to do. Of course, once you defuse the last bomb and get the new sensor from Stillman to find the scentless bombs, you're given yet another stressful thing to worry about. The bombs you defuse in this section of the game are just dummy bombs, a distraction from the actual threats, and once all of them are defused, that's when the big ones are set to go off. You're given a 200-second time limit to get to the bottom of the big shell where you came in at and defuse the bomb. If you fail, you get a game over, but you also have the guards along the way to worry about. 200 seconds is plenty of time, so the key here is to not let the timer get you impatient. Go through it as usual, and it's all good. I got to the bottom of strut A, defused the bomb, and that was the bomb disposal section wrapped up. This part took me about an hour exactly with all the attempts in mind, which might not seem like a lot, but it kinda is. This part is pretty short. I decided to make my second save here, since this was the start of another major section of the game. And really, this is when the game actually gets started. As you head back to the elevator, you run into Fortune, who is technically your first boss fight of the plant chapter. I say technically because you don't actually fight her. It's more of a game of chicken where you have to dodge your railgun shots and simply survive. It sounds pretty simple, but as you'd expect, it's never that easy. A very common pattern when it comes to these trophy videos apparently. On the higher difficulties, Fortune shoots really fast and really frequently. The best way to avoid the shots is to equip a cardboard box and run across the back side of the room. When you're in the box, you can turn a little bit quicker, and since she shoots so damn fast, you need all the leeway you can get. As long as you don't mess up your pattern with dodging, it's super easy. But yeah, I got hit and died a lot, which is precisely why I saved right before this. If I died here, I would have had to do the entire thing again. And fuck that. Safety saves for the win. After you quote-unquote beat Fortune, you have to haul ass to the helipad to defuse the final bomb of the game, and this is where that actual first boss of the game is, Fatman. Fatman is certainly a fat man, but he's no slow man, that's for damn sure. Fatman is the disciple of Stillman and wants to be famous for his prowess in explosives, so the entire boss fight revolves around the gimmick of bombs. If you aren't quick to shoot him, he'll place a ton of bombs down, and any bomb he places, you have to defuse them with the coolant. The fight starts with 2 bombs having already been placed, ticking down waiting for you to do something about it. Immediately you're shown what the fight is going to come down to. Trying to defuse any bombs that have been placed, taking shots at Fatman any chance you get, and trying to keep him in your sight at all times to prevent him from placing more bombs. For this fight, and this fight only, you can shoot Fatman with the SOCOM to knock him down, and then use the M9 to do non-lethal damage. It is possible to beat him without the SOCOM at all, but it's pretty hard because the tranq won't pierce the suit, so you either have to shoot him in the head or shoot him in his rollerblades to knock him down. Oh yeah, by the way, if you didn't know, because I also didn't know until making this video, you can shoot the rollerblades and it'll knock him down as if you blasted him with the SOCOM. Yet another reason this game was so ahead of its time. I died here a lot, shocker, but it was never because of Fatman himself killing me. Really, he doesn't do much damage in general. It's the bombs, man. There was one point he planted 5 bombs with a 20-second timer to defuse them all. That's impossible. So you know what that means? Fuck. Well, the footage on screen kind of speaks for itself. It's kind of funny because even though the bosses are very well designed and difficult, I tend to have more to say about the normal enemies and environments more. You know, maybe this video is a part of the Dante simulation program because it's so damn similar to the DMC3 video I made. In that game, the bosses were well designed and hard, but the normal enemies were harder. Dante and Raiden also both have trauma from their past and use swords to fight. Interesting. What's also interesting is how fucking hard the game is past this point, because I don't even know how many times I failed in this next stretch of the game. And you want to know the best part? Since you can only save 8 times, I couldn't save after beating Fatman. So if I fail any point in this next stretch, it's time to redo Fatman, Fortune, and this section all over again. It's torture. The section after Fatman is the part where you're supposed to infiltrate the Shell 1 core to get to Richard Ames, the guy who's meant to help you find the president. You get the BDU from Mr. X and... oh fuck, not that Mr. X, shit! Hello? I'm just trying to give you a hug.
Oh no, baby!
Even though we got the BDU, we need the AK to go alongside it. If we go into the Shell core without the BDU and AK equipped, they'll see through the disguise, and my ass is going all the way back to the Fortune fight. The AK you need is on the lower level of Strut F. And this is probably the hardest part of any Strut F section you have to go through. There are the normal 4 guards positioned here, and there's another guard in the room with the AK. Now, if the radar was allowed for Big Boss, this would be a piece of cake. But since it isn't, this is pretty anxiety inducing. When you walk into that bottom floor room, the guard can either be facing your ass straight on, or he can have his back turned. There's not any good way to tell, so you just have to lock in and adjust accordingly. Once you do get the AK, the shell core itself isn't bad to get through. Since you have the disguise on, none of the guards will react to you as long as you don't do something stupid like run right into them. This doesn't mean this section is quite easy though. No. I think this room is the hardest room in the game, to be honest, besides like the Tengus or something like that. Before I explain exactly why it's hard, just take note of how many guards and cameras are in this area. After you locate Ames, you have to come back through here with no disguise, and there are even more guards. To make this section easier, I shot out a few specific cameras to make my life easier, especially the one as you enter because that's the way you have to come out. I totally didn't forget to shoot this and got an alert right at the end of this section. Definitely not. If you shoot out a bunch of cameras, you can wrap around the left side of this area and get through relatively smoothly. The main section that's sus is the path leading to the exit. There are 2 guards patrolling, and then there's a soldier from the reinforcements unit blocking the path. You have to take them all out, but it's way harder than it seems. It's not the tightest thing ever, but it's really awkward to get a good shot on all of them without getting seen. Especially the reinforcements dude. He is in the perfect position to be a pain in the ass. It took me a good couple hours or so to get through this long stretch of gameplay. So once I made it through that door to exit the shell core, I paused for a minute and deliberated what my next plan would be. After the shell core, you have a small segment where you have to go get the PSG sniper to shoot out some bombs to start the Harrier fight. I could try to make it to the Harrier boss before saving again, or I could save right now and take it safe. Considering how fucking annoying that last segment of this playthrough was, I decided to take it safe, because truth be told, I didn't trust myself to make it to the Harrier fight without being seen. This makes my 3rd save, and let me tell y'all, I am really glad I saved here, because I shit you not, about 3 seconds later, I got spotted by a Cypher. I forgot there are Cyphers right on your ass in this section. So yeah, good call by me to save here. Since I saved here, I had to get the PSG, run to the Shell 1-2 crossway, and shoot the bombs anytime I died on the Harrier boss. Needless to say, I died a lot here. I don't know what it is about the Harrier, but this is the boss fight I've always struggled with the most out of any Metal Gear game. Between the Kasaka getting in your way for absolutely no reason, most of the attacks one-shotting you, not having the radar to see where the Harrier is, and the fight taking a while, it's just a damn hard fight for me. The fight always starts the same, so you can get some quick shots in to deal damage, but after that it becomes semi-random. Solidus will either use the Gatling guns or a few variants of the missiles. None of these are too hard to avoid, but again, one mistake and you're cooked like a fucking baked potato. What makes it even worse is the fact that Snake barely lends you stinger ammo on the higher difficulties, so if you run out of ammo, you're playing a game of chicken to survive until he drops some. Even when he does drop some though, you get fucked anyways, cause he can drop it in the most inconvenient spots known to mankind, which will either leave you vulnerable to the Harrier's attacks, or you're gonna miss an opportunity to attack, both of which being very bad. What the fight comes down to is taking pot shots, abusing invincibility frames, and hiding so you don't get one shot by the attacks. It's not a complicated fight, but it's damn sure not easy. So up to this point I've used 3 saves, meaning I have 5 more to go. My plan was to save the majority of the saves for the end, since as anyone who has played MGS2 knows, the ending of this game is no joke. But to be honest, I was so fed up with the Harrier, I decided to make a save after the Harrier. Whether this was smart or not, I don't really know, but again, I wasn't very confident in my ability to make it to the next boss fight without being seen, and I hate this boss fight, so I just said fuck it. This is my 4th save in total, so half of my saves are now gone. The good news is that, at least in my opinion, I think the rest of the game is pretty easy in terms of not getting any alerts. What we've got left is Vamp, Twilight Sniping, and the insanity that is Arsenal Gear and beyond. Until Arsenal Gear though, nothing is that bad. The Shell 2 part of the game is significantly easier than Shell 1 in my opinion. Even with the Emma escort stuff, it's a piece of cake. Kind of. With that in mind, we can go ahead and talk about the main Vamp fight. To get to Vamp, all you need to do is an easy swimming section. This is the easiest fight in the game, and it honestly might be the easiest in the series. It's all because of one easy trick you can use. If you hang off the ledge into the water, Vamp is programmed to do an attack to knock you off and kill you, but you can exploit this to your benefit. For some reason, if you get out of the water as he does the attack, you can beat the shit out of him, and as long as you stay close to him, he'll keep doing the attack over and over. It's not too hard to avoid this attack as long as you stay directly behind him, so the entire fight is just punching the hell out of him on some Hajime no Ippo type shit. If you do get hit, you will instantly die, so I did make a safety save here. But in retrospect, this was a dumb idea. I should have waited until Twilight Sniping, but we live and learn. That means 5 of the 8 saves have now been used up, so we're starting to cut it close. After you defeat Vamp, you come across Emma, who, as I mentioned before, you need to escort to the next objective. I'm not sure how people feel about this whole escort part of the game, but I absolutely love it. It feels like this is the big turning point of the game when it comes to the tone. Between the story nearing its conclusion, Otacon getting his big moment, the setting of the big shell with the sunset, the music, the final slow walk through the big shell, it is absolutely perfect. Aesthetically, this is one of my favorite sections of any game ever. The Twilight Sniping or Sniper Escort section is no exception. On Extreme, this isn't too much harder than any other difficulty. You just have to make sure you take out the guards and ciphers as soon as you can and you'll be fine. If Emma gets seen here, it doesn't count toward you getting an alert, so that doesn't matter. Then the Vamp section is super easy, his hurt box is massive, so if you shoot in specific spots, you can hit him no matter what. The only thing after that is to get down to the Shell 1 core so you can finish the big shell section of the game. There's only one guard here, so that's whatever, but there is a very ass-clenching jump you have to make. Considering the fact that if you mess this jump up, you have to do the entire Emma escort again, this is not a fun jump to make. I felt my heart sink even though I made the jump flawlessly. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, but I did do a save before the Twilight Sniping part, so I'm up to 6 saves. 2 more left. We've now made it to the final section of the game, and boy is it a tough one. The big shell portion of the game is done, like I said, and all that's left is Arsenal Gear and beyond. You have to sneak past the Tengus with none of your gear, and I really mean none of your gear. Then you have a Tengu Soldier boss rush with 2 phases, a Metal Gear Ray boss rush, and then finally a sword fight with Solidus to conclude the game. The Tengu Soldiers are basically way deadlier versions of the standard guards from the big shell. They have P90s and swords to attack you with, so they have more range and they're a bit faster. I'm not sure if they're more accurate with their shots or not, but it kind of feels that way sometimes. I made a save right before the shrieking sneaking section, so that was 7 saves used. 1 more left. This can be a bit tricky if you don't know the proper ways to get past the guards, but if you do, then as always, it's not too bad, because a lot of what Big Boss comes down to is knowing the enemy placements and how to get past them. The actual bad part is if you die at any point, you have to go through all of the Colonel's Codex again in this small colon area. While not being hard, obviously, it takes a lot of time to get through. It's kind of nice in a way though, since the next section is very difficult. It gives you a break, I guess? Once you regroup with Snake and get your gear back, it's time for the Tengu rush. There are Tengus absolutely everywhere in this section. Whether they're in front of you, behind you, above you, beside you, wherever the hell they are always a threat. And since you can't use any rations and you can't kill them, you gotta do this all in one perfect fell swoop. There is a glitch you can use to make this a lot easier, but it's very risky. If you can make it all the way to the opposite side of this room, you can use a glitch to make it through the door early. If you hold your back against the door, enter first person, and let go of first person in the middle of the melee attack combo, it'll push you just far enough through the door to reach the loading zone of the next area.
You wouldn't be trying to give yourself a bogus score using some ingenious trick, would you? That's just about as low as anyone could possibly stoop. I can't believe you sometimes.
Colonel, shut your bitch ass up. Shockingly, I made it through on the first try, but that's only one step of this encounter. Once you enter the next room, you have yet another wave of soldiers to get past, but this one is probably more difficult than the last. Now, it isn't just because there's not a skip for it, but there is literally no cover at all in this arena. It's you and Snake versus dozens of enemies. There are a few ways to go about it, but the intended way is to use the HF blade to deflect bullets and then take the guards out with the non-lethal variant of the sword. We got the sword from Snake, by the way. Speaking of Snake, he is a godsend here, and he makes you feel like a little bitch in comparison. His kills here don't count toward yours, thank God, and he kills the enemies fast. Like, by the time you get to almost any enemy in the room, he's probably killed them. Bless up to Snake. The strat I used was to bum rush any guard I saw, and if I got low on health, I would fall back to the previous room to crouch and regain a bit of health. Once I got back to the green or blue or whatever the hell that color is, I would go back out and repeat. Very simple strategy and concept, but stressful nonetheless. You can afford to make a few mistakes here and there, but too many and you're probably gonna die. Now, I have no idea how, but I actually managed to do this entire segment in one try. The stealth section and both guard rushes I did in one go. I was flabbergasted because I thought this was going to take me at least a few tries, but everything came together in one shot. My celebration wasn't going to last long though, because right after came the real challenge, the Metal Gear Rays. The Metal Gear Ray boss rush of MGS2 is widely considered to be the hardest fight in the entire Metal Gear series on the harder difficulties. It requires constant concentration, excellent movement and spacing, and great usage of the Stinger missiles. You have to beat a total of 20 Metal Gear Rays at once, each one taking several missiles each. To optimally deal damage, you need to shoot one of the Rays in the leg, then shoot it in the face. There are 3 Rays active at a time, and one of them will be on the main platform with you. The other 2 will be on the outskirts waiting, but every now and then they'll shoot homing missiles at you as if the main Ray wasn't a big enough problem. The main Ray on the platform has 3 different attacks it can do: the machine guns, the missiles, and the water cannon. At least I think it's a water cannon, whatever it is, the laser cannon, whatever. The machine gun is the easiest one to dodge, so ideally you want the Rays to do that one as much as possible, but the other 2 are a different story. To dodge the missiles consistently, you have to do a very well-timed cartwheel to get out of the way. If you fail, you die. The water cannon is the worst one by far though. The attack comes out almost instantly and it will also kill you instantly. The only way to avoid this is to be preemptively moving either right or left to make it just barely miss you. You can influence which attack the Ray will do by keeping an eye on your distance from it. If you're pretty far away, it'll shoot the missiles. If you're in the mid-range, it'll do the machine gun, and if you're close, it'll do the cannon. It can also step on you, but this isn't common since you're almost never going to be that close to the Ray even if you wanted to be. To kill the 20 Metal Gears required to beat this fight, it's going to take upwards of 10 minutes of playing with no mistakes. Despite its difficulty, this is actually one of my favorite boss fights in gaming. Having a Metal Gear boss rush in Metal Gear is cool enough as is, but that on top of the skill required to beat it and the various strategies you can use to beat it, it's maybe the most skill expressive fight in the series. When someone is doing this boss fight, you can see how comfortable they feel with the game as a whole, and how confident they are in their abilities to perform optimal strategies. For example, the safe way you would do this fight is to focus solely on the ray on the platform with you, but if you're experienced, you can target the rays on the side as well. Both are completely valid ways to approach the fight, but one is clearly quicker and harder than the other. This fight also encourages experimentation. For example, did you know that if you use chaff grenades here, the homing missiles won't actually home onto you while the chaff is active? It's something that seems so obvious, but you wouldn't know it worked unless you tried it. There's also the fact that you can get some extra damage on the rays if you shoot them in the face while their mouth is open on their own. Yet another way this fight rewards a player's skill. Like I said, this fight is hard as shit, there's no doubt about it, but it is just satisfying to play. I can't describe how good this game and boss fight feels to play in words. It's just something you have to experience to understand it. But while I'm sitting here gushing about this fight, I died a lot. No matter how good you are at this game, the fact that one mistake means death never changes. And since this is a long fight, you'll be hard pressed to do everything perfectly in one go. And the craziest part, this was my final save. What this means is I'd have to do the raise, the torture sequence, and Solidus all in one fell swoop. Let's go ahead and talk about Solidus, since this is a very simple fight in comparison to the raise. You and Solidus end up in Manhattan for the final showdown, and the Patriots order you to kill him as your final objective. The two of you battle it out in a sword battle to the death. The thing about this fight is that it's really easy to avoid almost every single thing he does. If you just stand still and block, you can just nullify everything he does almost. In the first phase, the most deadly thing he can do is shoot missiles at you, but this is also the easiest thing to avoid. If you cartwheel into him, which I know sounds kind of stupid, but hear me out, you'll get past all the missiles. He's then open to attack. In the second phase, you can sit still and block for damn near the entire phase until he does something. Then you can get a few sword slashes in. He has one unblockable attack, but it's super easy to dodge. The most deadly thing out of anything in this fight is the fire trails he leaves behind him. If you get lit on fire, it'll drain your health quick, and since you gotta be close to him to hit him with the sword, it's not unlikely you'll get hit by this at least once in the fight. Thankfully, you get a full health refill after the Metal Gear Ray fight, so you have some more wiggle room with getting hit. Even though this fight is easy, the fact it comes right after the raise makes it very stressful, and since I had no more saves, I had to lock the fuck in. It was time to fulfill my final duty of Metal Gear Solid 2 and get this done once and for all. So I got to work. Wait, what the hell? Why are we here?
Let's start the party!
Holy shit, this was the Dante simulation program all along. It makes sense now. The swords, the hair, the backstory. It was all too convenient to be a coincidence. Dante, you son of a bitch, what do you have to say about all this?
Oh, don't hate me because I'm beautiful. Maybe if you got rid of that old yee-yee ass haircut you got, you get some bitches on your dick.
Yeah, you make a good point there. Well, I gotta go kill my dad, who is the former president of the United States, by the way, because sentient AI forced me to. So I'll catch you later, homie. Peace.
There was never a real reason for me to fight, except that someone put a gun in my hand. And that someone was him.
It wasn't your fault.
If I survived the day's fight, I was praised, fed, and had a bed to sleep in. think I was only 6 when I held my first AK. But I'm not even sure of that.
Jack.
I'm not like Snake. I never questioned why we fought. There was no purpose, no way out. They give you a gun, you ask how many to kill. If you didn't, you were the one they shot instead.
It's okay. No one is blaming you.
We were shown Hollywood action films every day. The kind with macho guys and big guns. They call it image training. They built us from the ground up into killing machines. We were fed once a day. You can still taste the gunpowder they mixed into the food.
Gunpowder? In the food?
The gunpowder had toluene in it, giving it hallucinogenic properties. It kept us drugged, controllable.
Oh my god!
When the Civil War ended, those of us who survived were taken in by NGOs. They gave me a new life in the States. I can't complain. But nothing's changed. The only people who have no problem with my past have secrets and agendas of their own. Terrible nightmares. Every night. I can never forget.
Are you awake yet, Jack? GW, the Arsenal AI is corrupted beyond repair. I admit that I underestimated you. I'll squeeze the answers out of you instead, my son.
Oh, what's that? You want to torture me, Solidus? You want to torture me? All right, bet. I was training forearms just for this day. Come on, Solidus. I've been waiting for your punk ass. Let's go then. Come on, let's go. Let's go. Dude, what the fuck are you doing? Damn, Solidus. Fucking just fuck off. Fucking piece of shit. I fucking hate you. Fucking piece of shit. Give me PTSD, motherfucker.
Yo, shut your bitch ass up. It ain't my fault you got the mashing power of a fucking ant. Now come catch this work.
Brace yourself.
Right, you have to beat Solidus. This is your last duty.
We're not just pawns in some simulation game, you know.
Yes, you are. You're nothing but mere weapons. No different from fighter jets or tanks.
What the?
The old model destroyed 4 years ago was Rex.
The new amphibious model is Ray.
Both of these are the same as the code names used by the U.S. Armed Forces to refer to Japanese warplanes during World War II.
Your code name, Raiden, too, comes from the Japanese Navy's name for one of its interceptors.
Stop it. I'm not a weapon.
Oh, really? Do you know the code name the U.S. Armed Forces used for the Japanese fighter Raiden?
It was Jack. Both of you are just weapons to be used and thrown away.
Just weapons to be used on the battlefield. Just pawns in a game, exactly as you said.
And a weapon has no right to think for itself. Now, it's time to fulfill your purpose. Defeat Solidus.
my god,
Do you
dude.
remember this place?
Of course. This is where we first met.
Honestly, whether it counts or
I
not,
remember now.
I don't know if I'm gonna put this in the video or not, but
Is the day
this was literally the most anxiety-inducing platinum and thing I've done in a game in a long time. Like, it's like every single step you do, like, there's so much margin for failure on everything. Like, if you fail in this boss fight, you got to do another 30 minutes of perfect running around the enemies, making the guards make sure you don't see them, shoot out the cameras, make sure just something doesn't go wrong, make sure the ciphers don't see you, make sure the snipers on the top of the buildings don't see you, make sure the guys with the binoculars don't see you, make sure you don't die to the boss fights, make sure Emma doesn't die on Twilight Sniping, make sure you don't accidentally kill somebody, make sure you don't accidentally get an alert. There's so many options for failure, so there's a chance I get to this fucking option screen and this is not even the platinum. There's a decent chance that could happen. Like, if these bandages count, who knows, man. But god, dude, like, I've done a lot of hard platinums. I've done Persona 4 Arena, one of the hardest fighting game platinums. I've done Mortal Kombat X. That one's not too hard, more grindy than anything. I did Metal Gear Solid 2 on PS3. That was also very difficult. I had to do all the VR missions. But this, like, I've never felt this while playing a game before, where I'm just so shaky and nervous, and like I genuinely have goosebumps when I play this shit on extreme and try not to get the alerts and like try to do it fast, and it's like almost overwhelming, dude. Like, I really hope this is it, but this has been such a positive experience, and I'm really glad I went out of my way to do this. Let's fucking go. Ah, fuck yeah. Like, I've been playing this game. This is one of the first games I ever played in my life. So, I don't know, man. Like, the feeling I have right now, like, my favorite game of all time, and I don't know, like, it just feels weird. Like, I've never thought I would be able to do that back in the day, you know? Like, I can't even explain it. Like, it's, in the grand scheme of things, it's not really that big of a deal, but it's like, when you do something like this, where, like, I've been playing this game for, like, it was one of the first games I ever played, probably like 15, 16, maybe even 17 years I've been playing this game, just on and off, not always, obviously, but like, love this game, everything about it, I love it. But I never thought I would be good enough to get the big boss rank, because there's just so many things about it. It's easily the hardest one in the series, but it was just, I was not that good at games back then. But now that I've like put time into it and I have a better mindset with this shit, it's just so much better nowadays. I don't know. The feeling I have right now is so weird. I don't know. I'm just so happy, man. Oh god. This greatest game ever made, man. It really is.
With that heartfelt speech concluded, that brings us to the end of this platinum journey. This game truly means a lot to me in a lot of ways. It was the first game to motivate me to make YouTube videos. It changed the way I view media, and in a way, it changed the way I view the world. Getting Big Boss rank in itself wasn't the hardest thing I've done in a game, but what it represents for me means the world, and it's one of the proudest things I've ever accomplished in my gaming career. It might seem silly, but I really got emotional after I got this platinum. Metal Gear Solid 2 truly is the greatest game of all time in my eyes. I think it always will be, and getting the Big Boss rank is like my final love letter to the game after so many years of playing it and thinking about it. I love this game with all of my heart, and getting this platinum is something I'll remember every time I experience this game from now on. Video games are a truly special medium, and you should never feel bad about loving them. Go out and enjoy the games you love, and enjoy them to the fullest.
Building the future and keeping the past alive are one and the same thing.